Michael Joyce here with Chin Center. I knew when I started putting these videos out on YouTube that a number of martial artists are bound to look at them, comment, and give me questions. So it's kind of fitting that we start off these webcast sessions with a note on how we as martial artists should behave. It strikes us as common sense, or at least it should strike us as common sense, that we always be virtuous. Tai Chi Chuan in particular looks at someone's goodness, their ability to be a good person, as the highest level of attainment. The classics, not to mention the wisest of teachers, will tell you that if you are lacking in any one of the 5 morality of deeds, your martial arts will never fully flourish. These 5 morality of deeds are humility, loyalty, respect, righteousness, and trust. For one, a teacher will never impart his or her teachings to you if you are lacking in any one of these, because these skills, you can use these skills to harm others or for greedy purposes or what have you. But since I posted my first video, I've gotten a few emails from viewers wondering about my credentials. Not that this is, a bad thing to ask, but, part of me just wants to be very, very open. Part of me wants to just write a resume and list all the teachers and all the seminars and people I've coached. But another part of me feels that by overemphasizing, it shows that I'm ego-driven. But what I will say is that I've been seriously studying the martial arts since 1994. By serious, I mean that since '94, I felt very deep down that the martial arts was something that I was meant to do and something I was meant to impart to others. I give credit to my teacher, Herb Perrin in St. Louis, for shining the spotlight on Tai Chi Chuan, as it were, and to my 2 teachers, Master Chin Zhonghua and Master Yang Yang, for continuing to illuminate that path that has proven time and time again to be my most rewarding endeavor. They are my teachers, yes, but I don't mention their name, and definitely the measure of me isn't built on their name, nor their abilities as amazing martial artists. I don't mention belts or rank because I've dismissed that years ago. Not that these aren't good, and not because these aren't a good measure of a person's ability in the martial arts, but they're not my way. There's a Chinese proverb that says a student will spend 3 years searching for a good teacher, and that teacher will spend 3 years in testing that student. As many times as I've heard this proverb, I can't help but to kind of shudder inside at the thought of searching 3 years for a teacher. The lesson in this proverb, obviously, is that you need a good teacher in order to train properly and so that you won't build bad habits. But think about what that means in today's world. I mean, we have schools and we have teachers on nearly every street corner, and it's fairly safe to say that a good portion of these teachers are capable of teaching. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. And if they're not the greatest of teachers, at least they can start you off on the right foot. As far as what particular discipline to jump into, we have countless movies, video games, action film stars, and books that can help show you exactly what these particular disciplines entail, and you can decide for yourself which one of them strikes your fancy and which one you'd like to learn. But the big leap happens when you choose to act, when you actually go into a studio and you join a school. Or if you don't have the means, the monetary means, and that's very typical because martial arts can be very expensive at times, you can always find a friend, and if they're generous enough to teach you at least the basics, that's a very good thing. With that being said, let's jump back to virtue for a moment. Regarding virtue, we should always study the masters of the martial arts, the masters who wrote the classics. We should read their works. We should also reread their works. But you should never neglect to look towards nature, to look towards yourself, and to those people that we might initially label as ordinary. Because we can all, each and every one of us teach the other something. And this is the real direction towards fulfillment. Lao Tzu, or the wise old teacher, is the writer of the Tao Te Ching, and he had this to say: "The teaching of the integral way will go on as long as there is a Tao, which is the path, and someone who wishes to embody it. What is painted on these scrolls today will appear in different forms in many generations to come. These things, however, will never change. Those who wish to attain oneness must practice undiscriminating virtue. They must dissolve all ideas of duality, good and bad, beautiful and ugly, high and low. They will be obliged to abandon any mental bias born of cultural or religious belief. Indeed, they should hold their minds free of any thought which interferes with their understanding of the universe as a harmonious oneness. The beginning of these practices is the beginning of liberation." And in ending the segment, I'd like to add that we should always remember that no one holds the monopoly on wisdom. We can always learn from others. We can learn from nature. We should continue to learn from ourselves. We should discover ourselves as you should discover yourself, and accept your true self, never the self that you've created, which we all do from time to time. And what I'm talking about is those little masks that we sometimes wear to impress others or to make ourselves feel good, because we know who we really are. Become the example of the virtuous person, the virtuous samurai, and always remember to give back. And don't wait until you resemble one of those white-haired kung fu masters in the movies, which is to say an old elderly person, to impart these teachings. Always keep training, keep learning, and keep giving back, and do this as soon as possible, because you, me, we're all involved in one big continuum. I hope this has been very, very helpful for you. Please comment if you feel inclined to, letting us know what you'd like to talk about. Kind of helps us, set up these webcasts. Otherwise, I'll just keep giving you what comes natural. Thanks again, and until next time, so long.